Hey, Bookish friends, I have what month is it? May wrap up for you. It looks like a small pile, but I actually read quite a few ebooks this month too. So I don't know if I'll go through these in the exact order I read them or not, because I think I have like a bunch of them in a row that were audiobook or ebook, so I might swap up what order I talk about them in. First up, I did finish Simplified Organization, Learn to Love What Must Be Done by Misty Winkler. This book came recommended by a friend of mine, and so my in-laws got it for me for Christmas, and I read it, and it is super helpful and motivating in being a homemaker and how to prioritize things to make sure that I'm getting everything done that I should be getting done. I'm also organizing your mindset and your attitude. I really love this. I gave it 5 stars. And I can't remember. Let me check my book bracket. Yes, I picked this as my favorite book of the month. The next book I finished this is volume 1, but I actually finished volume 8 of the Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon. I have volume 1 because I already loaned out volume 8. I actually have 5 out of the 8 volumes loaned out to friends in my book club right now, and that just feels so great. I can't wait till our next meeting because we can talk about we can chat about the series, but still try not to give spoilers for people who are behind us. It's just going to be so much fun. Not too much I can say except that volume 8 takes place in 1884. It covers the summer. I was really looking forward to that one after some of the events in volume 6 or 7, because it hinted at a house party that was going to happen that summer, and I was just really looking forward to it, and I loved it. It does have maybe a tad bit more swearing in it than any of the previous volumes, but the rest of it was so good. I think I still gave it 5 stars. Oh, and I did finish Off the Beaten Path. This is a mosaic anthology. I actually have a full review of that I will link in the cards. And it was 5 stories. Some of them were short stories. Some of them were more like 100 pages. And some of them continued previous stories or stories from previous anthologies. And I really enjoyed those. I did finish a series. I read The High King by the Chronicles of Prydain by Lloyd Alexander. This is book 5, so I can't say too much. I don't know if this is a spoiler, but if you don't like it when books, like all of the good guys make it through, if you want to be worried for characters that they might actually die, read this one. I remember chatting with my friend, we killed characters. It was sad, but still, the ending felt very bittersweet. But I did read this series as a recommendation from my friend, and I'm glad I finally finished it, and we were able to chat about it actually in our May book club. So I went on a trip with my mother and my daughters, and we listened to Little House in the Big Woods, which is the first book in the Little House on the Prairie series. I picked this one because I didn't want to do Farmer Boy because I'm like, it's all food. And then the first half of it is all prepping for winter and talking about the food they ate at Christmas, which really did help us want to be less snacky. But I think it was a good road trip book, and I think everybody enjoyed it. I think my daughters got a little tired of it eventually, but I wanted to be listening to something that I had read before, so that way if I had to give my attention to the road undivided, it wouldn't matter if I kind of tuned out the audiobook for a little bit. And I also took along Crosswords by Shona Havig. I didn't quite get to finish it. Didn't actually get to do much reading besides what I listened to while I was driving. This is the third full-length novel in the Bookstrings series. They can stand on their own. There are brief references to previous characters in the series, just how they're doing, and I think in one of them he referred to a wedding from previous characters. But anyway, this one is very different than the other ones because we have a successful bookstore, but Milton just happens to go in there, and the owner is trying to decide between two buildings. So he gives her a little bit of advice on which building he thinks will work better for the store long term, and then also a little bit of advice once they move, just to help things pick back up and run smoothly after a big move like that. But then we have the owner's nephew who comes home from college for spring break and then summer, and he's doubting his faith and his walk in the Lord. And then this has conversations with Milton, the bookstore doctor, and one of the employees of the store. And then also Milton ends up going and helping his aunt in Maine because she fell and she broke her hip and some ribs, and so he's helping her because she doesn't have any children. And he gets there and he's noticing there's a few large collections he hadn't noticed before, and so having to have those hard conversations with parents or relatives who are older. Also, on our trip, once we finished Little House in the Big Woods, we then listened to Little House on the Prairie. Again, great. It'll be good to continue on that series, I think, in the future. And oh, right. I didn't sleep very well while we were gone. And when my library book only loaded half of it on my tablet, and it would not load the other half, even though our hotel room had Wi-Fi. So I ended up pulling up Fast Forward Volume 2 on my Kindle and reading that. Loved it. It's a serial novel, also by Chateau Havig. She originally wrote it as a serial novel, and the installments came out weekly, and then she bundled different installments together in volumes. And so I read Volume 2 and Volume 3, and it just continues the story of Willow, who grew up in a very unconventional way, very isolated from community, just her and her mother on this farm. Occasionally people came out, like the tax man came out, and the butcher, I think, maybe delivered meat and such, but there was no electricity in the house. They had like a summer kitchen in the barn with a refrigerator and things like that, but in the house there's no there is electricity, but they keep it off. And yeah, growing up, she learned how to sew her own clothes and make their rugs and can and grow food and do all this preserving. And it's been fascinating to read about her adjustment to the modern world, and then making friends because her mother died at the very beginning of the first one. And so, yeah, it's been very fascinating. I did eventually get to finish my library book, which was Fire Mountain. This was the first book in the Elementals series. And we have this woman who's a trucker. She wakes up because this guy is like knocking on her door after she wrecks, and he's like, "There's a volcano erupting. We need to get out of here." And there's this baby just randomly in the back of her cab. She has a concussion. She can't remember how this baby came to be in her possession, where the mother is, what caused the crash, or anything like that. And so ends up these bad guys are after her, or the baby, or the mother and the baby. she doesn't really know, and this guy is helping the I can't remember names. I can't remember names, but he's helping get them to safety in the evacuation zone. And it does have a little bit of romance, stereotypical for Christian suspense, but at least the characters and the author are very open about, we realize that this trauma is kind of forcing this bond, and we'll see how it goes when we're in safety, which I appreciated. And then, like I said, I read volume 3 of Pass Forward. It just continues the story, and I really loved it, and I can't wait to read more, but I'm trying to be good and read some of the books for my summer reading challenge. And then I did read the second book in the Eternities duology. This is Singularity. I read The Time Door earlier this year, and with a duology, I thought that they'd be way more connected, but we have totally different main characters, except there's one main character in common, but he's more of a side character in this one, and that was Manasseh Cruz. He was a senator in the previous book, and in this book, he's Speaker of the House, and he recruits this team of specialists who have kind of sketchy backgrounds to help figure out what has gone wrong with this AI that is kind of hacking into government computers and creating these robots and causing all this troubles. It not quite what I was expecting, and it took me a bit longer to get through this. I think I gave this one, I would give it 3 stars, but that's just more because of AI and robots is not my cup of tea, and not actually a reflection of the writing or characters or anything like that. And I got toward the end of the month, and I crossed off all of my TBR, and so I squeezed in a couple of books. I got The Quest for the Silver Castle. This is book 1. This is an allegory, and I think it's really good for the late elementary, early middle grade kids. We have Theodora, the law of the land. There's this castle that's like up on the mountain, and a lot of people doubt that it's actually there. And the law of the land is to love the king. And she's like, well, how can I love the king? And so she's trying to talk to people and figure that out. And we also have Arlen, who is from the city, and he comes to the village of Place Beneath the Castle to live with his grandmother, and together they are trying to discover who the king is and to learn about him and what it means to love him and serve him. And I thought it was great, and I hope my kids will pick it up and read it. And the last book I managed to squeeze in is The Puffin Keeper. This was totally a last minute, ooh, that looks fun, I'll get it from my library book. Chantel Reads All Day wrote in her newsletter that she was reading Lighthouse books, and this is one of them. And I picked it up, and it has beautiful illustrations. It's a highly illustrated book. We have this boy who that's Alan. He and his mother are on a ship, and it wrecks off the coast, and the lighthouse keeper like rows out in a rowboat and saves all these people. And it's just almost just like a little biography about this boy. But I think it's all made up. And he writes to the lighthouse keeper, and then eventually he makes his way back to the island to meet the lighthouse keeper again. And I won't say too much to spoil it, except just it's a fun, very quick read. I think I actually read this in about one sitting. And yeah, it doesn't look like I read much, but I actually read 13 books, technically 14, because I did finish Beyond Ivy Walls on the 1st of May, but I read like the last 20 pages, so I counted it in April. And yeah, I hope to read more this month. Let me know if you had a favorite book that you read. Have you read any of these? Because if so, then we can have spoilery chats down in the comment section. And yeah, let me know if you had a favorite book in May. And until next time, happy reading.